Hey there. Is Nomad too small for MDO? That's a great question. Before we kick off into that, is the video lagging or does it feel good? It looks laggy on my end, but I can't tell. Anyway, let me know. Give me just a second. I'm gonna get this all set up. It looks good, slightly blurry. Yeah, you're used to 4K. The final video will likely be 4K, but this is what StreamYard supports. All right. Welcome, Clayton. Welcome, KW. Give me a second. I'll make these a little bit bigger and I'll share my screen here in a second. How is everyone tonight? Tonight, this afternoon, something like that. Not super precise. Hey, Rachel, how are you doing? Hey, Scott. Welcome, welcome. It's nice to see everyone. It's been a minute. I haven't posted in a while. 2024 got off to a bit of a weird start. So on the 1st of January, I inhaled a vitamin D pill on accident, and that set me back probably the first week and a half of 2024. Just didn't feel like doing anything, just didn't feel well at all. But back to normal now. I think the first video of the year went out today, and I'm ready to get back into it because I feel way behind. All right, let me share my screen and we can start going through some questions. Actually, before we go through some of the questions that I had, let's go through a couple of y'all's questions. So KW asked, is the Nomad too small for MDO? I don't know if that's a joking question or not. I actually haven't used my deep guide or my deep organizer, I guess it technically is. But I hear it's really good. I don't see any reason why it would be too small. Let me go grab my Supernote. I think it's in my bag. Hold, please. I reorganized everything because I was on the go yesterday. The only thing I would say about MDO on the A6X2 is it's not landscaped. So I think to get the best that the A6X2 can do, you're going to want something landscape. You can do it portrait, but I find myself basically using it almost exclusively landscape unless I'm reading back something that I wrote. If I'm writing something from scratch, it's almost always in landscape. iMac Express says that MDO works very well in landscape mode. That's cool. So is it you just scroll it up and down, I assume? Anyway, let me know. But I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. I mean, let me see what I've got on here right now. What is this? These are my notes around indecision on the Apple Vision Pro. I actually had it in my cart this morning, and I was just like, do I really want to pay this money for a dev preview? And ultimately, I decided, no, I don't. But yeah. All right, other questions? ETA for an A5X2 release. I don't have one. I don't think that Supernote has actually given one. I know they're shooting for like the first half of this year, but anything logistical like that, I don't know that they have a ton of control over. It's all going to depend on whether they can get devices and get them out to people. And so I know they want to do it as soon as they can, but my rough guess would probably be April, but I don't have any insider information there. So if you heard something else, let me know, but that's the latest I've heard. Let's see. Scrolling works fine and allows better handwriting. It switches from landscape to portrait so nicely that it doesn't bother. Yes. I assume you're referring to MDO, but everything you said also holds true for the Supernote A6X2 as well. I found the Kindle app to be unusably slow on the A6X. Is it better on the A6X2 or the same? I don't know because I don't have an A6X. It felt reasonably snappy. I think one of the caveats with the Kindle app in general, and I found this with Android as well, is that highlighting is a little quirky. Here, let me pull up the Kindle app and see if I can show you. So let me share a different screen. Bear with me a second. I need to add another screen here. In case you were wondering, Brandon is a noob when it comes to live streaming. So sorry about that. Bear with me for a second. All right, how does that look? I feel like there's a better way to do this. How is that? Can you guys see that all right? Knocking stuff off the table. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that. As far as like using this, I have page flip on because I was playing around with some stuff. Hold on, let me turn off the page flip animation because there's no real reason for that to be on. I was goofing off. Page turn on, animation off. I think that's the only place it is. Okay. So yeah, you tap, it changes, you tap, it changes. Again, if you do the swipe, there's a little delay, but in general, if you just tap, I don't see a real issue with it. So the thing that can be a little quirky is trying to highlight something. So like you can highlight just fine, but sometimes it doesn't go quite where you want it. I did a good job there. And I've turned off the highlight menu, so it doesn't prompt me again for whether I actually want to highlight it. But so like if I'm trying to highlight to another page, it's a little weird. Like, yeah. So like there's the quirk. If you're trying to highlight multiple pages, it's a little iffy. I somehow got 3 pages there. But that I would say that's the biggest issue I have with Kindle on the Supernote, but it's not really unique to the Supernote. That's just kind of Kindle on Android in general, as far as I know. But yeah, aside from that, I don't really have any issues with it. I've been using it, and I think it's pretty good. Another interesting thing, I haven't done this yet, but a little birdie told me that if you're reasonably tech savvy, you can actually if you're reasonably tech savvy, you can actually sideload apps on the Supernote. It's not officially supported yet, but people are getting it to work. And so maybe this weekend, if I have some time, I will try that out and leave some notes. Navigating the library and home was particularly bad. I don't know. Seems pretty snappy to me. Yeah, just open up a book. Oh, I don't have this one downloaded. You get to see download speed. Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on whether that's slow, normal, fast. I don't really have an issue with it. Feels pretty good to me. Except for I can't manage to get the header. But yeah, overall, feels pretty good. Also, random note, it's a little bit last minute, but we're starting a book club. So Josh Medeski and I are starting a book club. It starts tomorrow. We're going to be reading Ali Abdaal's Feel Good Productivity. Tomorrow is a meet and greet, so no reading required, but drop into the Knowledge Workers Discord. I have it in the description of every video. So click on that if you haven't already joined it. I assume if you're here, you probably are part of the Discord. But if not, go check it out. And if you want to come by and do book club, please do. All right. Questions I missed. Wasn't a joke, just return Note Air 3C. Thank you for answering. I'm debating between Nomad and Note Air 3 black and white and worry it's too small. I have a Remarkable 2, but I need handwriting search and links work well. About that, let me see if I can go back to just full screen. So about the Note Air 3, nothing wrong with the Note Air 3, except it's really just a Note Air 2 Plus with a performance bump. Let me switch back. I'm not excited about it, other than the fact that, I mean, the Note Air 2 Plus was great. I feel like calling it a Note Air 3 feels a little bit disingenuous. It doesn't really feel like that big of an upgrade to me. And maybe that's just an expectation issue. Maybe I'm expecting too much. But yeah, I wanted more out of the Note Air 3 black and white. I really wanted 300 pixels per inch. I mean, the Kindle Scribe has really set expectations there. And I know there may be some partnership challenges there. I heard a rumor that Amazon has a deal with e-ink that no one else can use that screen for a bit. And so maybe Books is blocked on that, at least for another couple of months. Again, I don't know that for certain, but that's the rumor I heard. So regarding whether the Nomad is too small, if you're coming from a Note Air 3C, you will definitely notice the size difference because there is one. Whether that will work for you or not, tough question. I think if you have time, I would probably wait for the A5X2, but all depends on whether you're comfortable waiting and whether that feels right to you. A6X2 is awesome, but it is a smaller device. So if you need all of that room that you had on your Note Air 3C, you may be a little let down by the smaller size. All right, they said, I have a Remarkable 2, but I really need handwriting search and links. Yeah, Supernote does handwriting search and links the best. I still don't love that their notebooks function differently when doing real-time handwriting versus not real-time handwriting, but they still have the best handwriting, real-time handwriting conversion and link support, in my opinion. All right, like the Kindle app works fine. The Kindle app works fine on Note Air 3C and Palma, was just too slow to switch screens on the A6X. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good performance boost from what I heard on the A6X2, but I can't really comment on it because I didn't have one. Um, have to add that I love my Remarkable 2 besides that, the use case of notes, journaling, and reading. Yeah, I mean, the biggest limitation in the Remarkable 2 right now is I want to see a 300 pixel per inch screen and um, real-time handwriting search should be there. I have to believe that there's some performance overhead issue and or they don't feel like putting real-time handwriting conversion on the device itself. So like right now, the Remarkable 2 does all of its handwriting conversion in the cloud. And so they've got some architectural things to figure out if they wanted to do real-time handwriting conversion because they currently use the cloud. With that said, it seems like they should do it. I think I mentioned this in a previous video. Like that seems like a way that they could elevate their formula. All right, let's see. Catching up on questions. Note Air 2 plus plus. Yeah, I mean, I haven't used the Note Air 3 black and white, but all the specs indicate it's a Note Air 2 plus plus. All right. Can you speculate a little bit about where the e-ink writers are going to be in the next 3 to 5 years? Ugh. Great question. Great question. Let me start my speculation by saying I have no earthly idea. And I think it's going to depend on how much the space grows. So whether or not e-ink becomes something that everyday people are talking about, or whether it stays a niche kind of nerdy thing like I talk about. I think the Kindle Scribe will do wonders for the e-ink world, even if the Kindle Scribe isn't an amazing device or a complete device. I think it does great things for awareness. And if we can get over a hump with people who are interested, get to a certain quantity, economies of scale, if you will, I think that'll do wonders. I think if we can integrate AI into e-ink in a local fashion, I think that would be really interesting and really fascinating. I think the biggest challenge for me right now with e-ink is it feels isolated from the other tools that I use. So I feel like e-ink and second brain PKM type workflows could be better integrated, and that would break down some barriers. And I'd say hardware is probably the biggest issue there. So as we see those large language models get to smaller and smaller memory footprints, and we see hardware have greater memory footprints, I think there's something interesting there. But that's probably as far as I can go and really feel comfortable. I think it's going to depend on what the manufacturers do and whether there's a captive audience and a large enough audience to make that make sense. All right, Scott says, give it time. There will be a Note Air 3 Plus before the end of the year. Actually, Scott, I believe there's already been FCC filings around that, and you are correct. There will be a Note Air 3 Plus. And given that we got a 200-ish pixel per inch Note Air 3, I'm hopeful that the Note Air 3 Plus will come out after that embargo lifts with Amazon and e-ink, and then we'll finally get a 300 pixel per inch black and white device, which I think is actually really fascinating. I think that would be good for those who want the books formula where they can do a little bit of everything. So Alexander says the lack of real-time sync of notes is why they ended up returning their Remarkable 2. Alex, I'm curious what did you replace it with something or have you just foregone this workflow? Let me know. All right. Saw some interesting things on note-taking at the Samsung Unpacked event. One feature that they showed that could work well in ink is handwriting straightener. Handwriting straightener. So is that kind of like what Procreate does where they clean up your lines, or is it something else altogether? Let me know, linked. Integrate AI, how? Well, Scott, if I was integrating AI, well, all right, let me back up. A lot of AI right now is done on the cloud just because you have a lot more resources there. You can do more ambitious things. But you can also run AI models on your own machine if you've got enough horsepower. So like on a MacBook Pro with Apple Silicon, you can run a 7 billion parameter model and it run just fine. So like I run Olama, which uses Llama 2 or Mistral or a couple of different large language models that you can run completely locally. Your data never leaves your device. No one else is spying on it. And you can do some really cool things there. I think what we're seeing are people training models on smaller and smaller parameter models, these quote unquote light models. And so I think as we do more and more with that, you can get that to something that can run on a phone or hopefully a slightly more powerful e-ink tablet. And then you can basically have handwriting conversion happening on the device, analysis happening on that, and then do things like smart spell check and whether a sentence makes sense, be able to generate insights from it, have those go into your inbox or have those go into your second brain and have that stuff happen in real time in a more integrated way than we have right now. So one of my challenges with the Remarkable is they really don't do first class cloud support. You can send things to the cloud and you can pull things from the cloud, but it's not really synced. And maybe Alex, maybe that's what you were hinting at in your comment. But yeah, I think intuitively when you think about third-party cloud providers on something like the Remarkable, you would think that it does a real-time sync, but we have a format issue, and the format that you write in and the format that gets exported are different. And no one, well, I think Supernote kind of does that facade. I think Books kind of does that facade, but Remarkable really doesn't. All right. For the Remarkable, did you cover the UX UI templates? I don't know what UX UI templates you're referring to. Like for me on the Remarkable, I use a dot grid, and that's my UX UI template, but I'm not sure, AC, if that's what you meant or not. This is AC's comment if you're curious. All right, Alex says, currently trying the Tab Ultra C Pro, the A3C had a gray bar. The Note Air 3C had a gray bar that you could not unsee. The real game changer would be getting the book's handwriting notes into something like Obsidian or Capacities. Yeah. It's just, it requires too much overhead of the user right now. So I'd love to see someone do something more opinionated there. The device that's closest to supporting that is the Books, because they do have a handwriting SDK. And so like apps like Notable exist that leverage that. I actually owe Olap, the guy who writes Notable, an update because he was able to upgrade it to Android 12. For a long time, Books didn't have an upgraded version of their SDK for Android 12, and so you couldn't run it on the Note Air 3C. But apparently, they now have that, and I just need to go try it out. I haven't tried it out yet. LM Studio is the most approachable way to use a local LLM without using the terminal. Clayton, I haven't tried that. I need to go check that out. I'm okay with the terminal, but I'm going to put in my notes to check out LM Studio. All right, add it to my list. Would you consider the best ink monitor? One, I haven't tried any. I mean, I tried to use the Books Tab X as an e-ink monitor. I wouldn't recommend that. I've reached out to Daesong about sending me a monitor, but they haven't replied to me. So if you want to bug them to send me a monitor, that would be great. I have tried the Books Mira. It works about like what you would expect. I'm not chomping at the bit to get an e-ink monitor just because I'm a UX designer and a product designer, and so color management really matters. And so to spend what a e-ink monitor costs right now doesn't really make sense for me in my use case. Like I could use it as my second monitor. I've got a monitor right here that I use for Slack and Discord and things like that, but it wouldn't be my primary monitor, so it's kind of expensive for how I would use it. But until I try the Daesong, the Books Mira is the closest, but I think you really have to consider cost and whether it makes sense for you. I'd love to see the Books Mira updated and see some stuff with some of the more modern BSR. I could be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it has the same BSR as we have in the Note Air 3C. So a Mira with that might be a little bit more compelling. All right, Linked says it cleans up your handwritten notes so that it's straight. Not really an issue if you have a lined dotted template, but nifty for those with quickly jotted notes. So Linked, was that at CES that that event was at, or was that just a standalone event? All right. I don't know that I can try your name and not butcher it. But this person says, Brandon, I ordered a Remarkable 2, but it had huge distortion with the writing. My handwriting usually looks very nice. With Remarkable, it looks like I'm a 3-year-old child, no straight lines. Okay, yes, a lot of people talk about this. And the short answer to your situation is your Remarkable has become magnetized. And so you've put it near something that has a magnetic field and it's thrown off the device a little bit. But that said, this is not like a permanent issue. If you just get the magnetization away, it should get better. If I can find it, I'll link a video. But the easiest thing you can do is take a stylus and turn it on its side and drag it up and down across it. That won't fully demagnetize it, but it should help with that distortion that you're seeing. Note that all Remarkables have a little bit of distortion at the edges that I haven't been able to get rid of no matter what I try. But most of the distortion that I found noticeable is due to magnetization. And so if you can get that magnetization off, it'll help. So like if you have an iPad and a Remarkable, try not to put them on top of each other because you can cause that magnetization. A lot of different like covers, for example, will also do it. The other thing I found is I don't personally like the fine liner on the Remarkable 2. And so that made my handwriting look a little bit worse. But once I switched to the ballpoint pen, I found I didn't hate that anymore. So just if you're using the fine liner, try using the ballpoint pen and see if that helps. Slightly tangential to what you're experiencing, but figured I'd mention it. All right, we have to pause for a drink because I'm running out of oxygen. So Linked says, agree with Alex that in-game for e-ink devices is integration with Obsidian and OneNote. Yeah, so speaking of OneNote, everyone asks me about OneNote, but I'm not in the Microsoft ecosystem, so I don't use OneNote, so I can't really comment on it. One thing you should know about OneNote on the books is the way the books SDK works is it takes the pen strokes natively on, sorry, how do I explain this? There's like a hold layer. So what you write goes straight into the books. The books waits until you stop writing, and then it transfers it into your Android app. And so like OneNote, there's going to be a delay before your writing is baked in, if you will. And that seems to be the thing that most people comment on is they wouldn't expect that to happen. And then that is the reality of what happens. And so that, I think, taints the OneNote experience a little bit. Clayton says Remarkable 2 is what I've been using for the last 4 years the most. Agreed. I haven't, kudos to you for using it for 4 years. I have not used mine for 4 years because I haven't had it for 4 years, but it is also the one that I use the most. Although lately I've been using the A6X2 and it's excellent. So if that has something that you want that the Remarkable doesn't have, definitely consider it. It's really nice. I don't know why the Remarkable 2 ruins people's handwriting. Avoid the fine liner tip. Agreed, Casey. Agreed. Standalone event for Samsung. All right. Agree with the gray bar on the Note Air 3C and color shift, dark to light in the front light. But worse is battery light and dark screen without front light. Yeah, the screen is darker. There's no getting around that. All of your color e-ink screens right now that you're seeing in these devices just are a little bit more cutting. They cut down on the light input, and yeah, it is noticeable. That's why I would have loved to have seen a 300 pixel per inch books device, because I think there are plenty of e-ink users that don't need color and a black and white screen is a better experience for those users. Have you ever found a reasonably priced source for Kaweco nibs? Yes, there's a video on this. I will have to find it, but if you look through my videos, there's a video called "I Finally Found a Source for Kaweco nibs." So check that out. Also, someone mentioned that the Stadler-Norris tips work in the Kaweco. I haven't tested that, but someone mentioned that. So try those out if you can get those more cheaply. Casey says, OneNote is horrible on the books. Again, I haven't used it, but that seems to be the sentiment. Oh, Link says, actually, it's just bad on Android more generally, which may also be true. Oh, Scott says the magnetization is something to watch out on the Scribe as well. I will be the first to say that I haven't used my Scribe significantly, so I haven't experienced that, but it makes sense that it would. Actually, it 100% makes sense. I heard someone comment that the reason why the Remarkable runs into this is that it has magnets baked into it, and it has a metal shell. And that's part of the issue with why it gets magnetized. And the Scribe also has a metal shell. So the math checks out. Oh, Fairy Light says, how are you integrating the Nomad into your use case? And I need to start by saying thank you to Fairy Light, because Fairy Light donated a coffee to me today. So thank you for supporting the channel. I'll have a link somewhere. I don't have it in the video right now, but if you'd like to also become a supporter, join the Knowledge Worker Discord and then buy me a coffee, and that'll get you into there. How am I integrating the Nomad into my use case? The Nomad is basically a drop-in replacement for the Remarkable 2. It does everything the Remarkable 2 does. I don't really think there's any trade-offs there. So it's a little bit more portable because it's smaller. I still use it landscape, and it's really good. I think the advantage to the Nomad is if I have a Remarkable, I can't kind of put it in my pocket. I can't put it under my arm and carry it around. So one of the things I commonly do in my day job is I'll go to doctor's offices and monitor how users use our software. And so having an A6X2 as a device that I could carry around with me, jot down my notes, and not have to carry something separate. Historically, I would carry like a Moleskine notebook into those offices. And so the Supernote is a lot more portable. And I think it's still big enough, especially in landscape mode, where you can use it on your desk as well. All right, let's see. Do you think it is a really hard blow for the battery that the device is a ink color? My understanding is that it's not the display that is the issue, Juan. My understanding is it's the GPU that makes the display feel responsive is the issue. Now, one could say that the fact that there's 4 different colors happening instead of one color is a factor there. So I guess they kind of go hand in hand, but I don't think it's completely just the screen that's causing that issue. Oh, Scott says that the Norris tips are way easier. Scott, if you give that a try, let me know how that works for you. But I did have someone say that they work well. I need to corroborate that. Is the Nomad replacing my beloved Remarkable? I don't know yet. It's a good question. Until an A5X2 exists, probably not. But it's really, really good. So if you're interested in it and the size makes sense for you, I have no issues recommending it. So I'd say if you're already a Remarkable user, there's no reason to run out and switch. But if you're starting from scratch and you don't have anything yet, I think both of those devices should be in your running if you're a primarily write first type user. All right. This person says, I had 2 A6X2s and both devices made some screeching noises from the back cover. Always when the palm rested on the edge. And now I'm a mod on Reddit said that this was an issue in the first batches. Screeching noises. I haven't experienced that. Let's see if we can recreate that. So from the back cover, palm resting on the edge. Hold on, let's try. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me put something up that isn't personal in nature. And just a heads up, I do need to drop at around 6:15, having dinner with my wife. So I have a hard stop. Let's see. Okay, so screeching noises. Let's see if we can recreate screeching noises. So here, and I'll come back to some of these other comments. So always when the palm rested on the edge. So like I had a little noise because it wasn't fully seated, but here, let me see if we've got any more comments. They put some carbon fiber in the back so the plastic is not screeching anymore. I wonder if it was more with the clear plastic ones in the middle left side. Yeah, that's just my hand. Guten Nacht, was that with the clear backed one or with the white one? Although I've managed to knock this loose. Let me not break this. Let's watch as Brandon accidentally breaks the A6X2 on stream. Okay. Yeah, post a link. That's fine. It was also clear white. Yeah, my guess is it's probably more likely with the clear white one for whatever reason. Feels like that material is a little bit more brittle, like a harder material. But I haven't personally run into that. So I don't know. Wishing you the best, but not seeing that in my experience. All right, let's see what I missed. Oh, Scott mentions that they tried some stylus testing with one tablet on top of another and had some weird effects in the writing results. Yep. That's demagnetization or magnetization. Because I test a lot of e-ink tablets, I probably run into this more than most, where I'll stack two tablets on top of each other, which how many people are doing that? And then, yeah, you'll run into this. KW says there's a demagnetizer that they bought. They showed how to demagnetize the screen to get straight lines. I think I saw that video too. There was like a doctor or someone who had run into it in a really extreme manner, and he figured it out. He had like done like grids and all this stuff. It was really cool, really fascinating. I haven't gone to that extreme, but if it bothers you, probably $20 well spent. Do you ever need to get those notes off your Nomad and to your team? Yeah, it works well. So let me see if I can show you how to do this. So The Supernode actually has a really good way to do this. So if you scroll down and then you turn this on, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry, let's do that from the start. So if you scroll down and you tap this icon right here, that'll turn on file sending. There's also screen share, and they both work with a local IP address. So nothing goes to the cloud. You can just type in that IP address or bookmark that IP address on your browser of choice. And then you just press enter and you can screen share like that, or you can browse the contents of the Supernode itself. And so it's really easy to get stuff off of there that way. Here, I'll turn it off, turn it back on. And then, yeah, you can see it right there. Let me see if I can share my screen, and I'll try and show that to you. My dog is freaking out. Hold on. Let me see. Can you guys see my dog? Oh, there she is. Hey, Candace, come back. Sit back down. You want to get down? Hold on one second. Come here. Here you go. You want to go out there? Go ahead. All right, we're back. All right, let's see. Inception. Okay. So let's open up. I don't have it linked on here. Hold, please. What was that address? Let's go back and share. Can you guys see? Is that super big? Here, let me move you guys over to a different screen. All right. Let me. No. There we go. Is that coming through? All right, so if you go in here, you can then see your different documents. So these are the different documents that I have on here, and then you can just download them. So if you like right click on here, it'll just open it up in the browser, and then you can save it. So really, really easy. You can also drag files over here. So like if you want to add new templates, for example. So I brought over my remarkable style templates, and you just drag these over here, and then you can use them directly on the Supernode. It's really nice. You can do a similar thing with the screen share. So I'm going to do the screen share. So it's going to be that same address, but instead of 8089, it's 8080. And then if you tap enter, you instantly get what's going on your Supernode. So let's see, can I switch this? Let's put this over here. Nope. Sorry, I'm really bad with StreamYard. All right, so we've got a couple of questions that I wanted to get to from folks. Let's try and share those and see how that goes. Okay, so let's close this. All right, so we had some questions from folks. Let's see, what is the best way to show this to you guys? Okay, can you guys see that? Is that super tiny? Hopefully it's readable. Hold on, people are asking questions. All right, so here was the question from Reed. Reed said, I really appreciate, sorry, let's, how do I get both of these back? And then let's swap these. I wish this was opposite. I'll eventually learn how to do this, sorry. All right, so Reed asked, I really appreciate your e-ink content on YouTube. Have a quick question. I've never used an e-ink tablet. I've read and watched a lot of reviews on the web, and their head is spinning with options. So I'd appreciate your perspective. My main use case for e-ink will be to use it for speeches I often give. I'm usually in a forum where I stand behind a podium. My thought is to write the speech on a computer in Google Docs and then refer to the speech on the e-ink tablet instead of a printed copy. I also need to be able to modify the text of the speech on the tablet on the fly, so a read-only PDF version of the speech on the tablet will not work. Other potential use cases for me include some handwritten note-taking in meetings, brainstorming, mind mapping, or reading PDFs and documents in meetings or at a desk and potentially marking them up. A couple of bonus use cases include reading email and taking snippets of text from the web. I like the idea of e-ink because it has long battery life, slim profile, and is a purpose-focused device. And I've been looking for something to replace paper and whiteboards in my life for a few years. Plan to use my computer for long documented speech composition and mostly web page quote copying. Don't want to spend a ton of money as I try out e-ink. What are your thoughts? Is e-ink for me, or am I really describing an iPad with like a 10-inch screen? Top candidates are the common ones. All right, that's a great question and a big question. So the first thing I would say about this is that's a lot of use cases. So I think the speech writing one makes a lot of sense. The speech giving one makes a lot of sense. The note taking in meetings makes a ton of sense. brainstorming and mind mapping, if you mean drawing those by hand, I think also makes a lot of sense. But the quoting web pages, I think, is the one that gives me a little bit of pause. Once you start trying to look at web pages on e-ink as a primary use case, I think your option's slim, and I'm not sure I'd really recommend that as an e-ink device right now. I mean, really only the book supports that, and you have some trade-offs in the note-taking process that come along with that. So I would ask yourself, do we really need the web page viewing and the quote watching there? Because I think it may not be as good of an experience as you're hoping for. With that said, you could do this on an iPad, and I don't really see an issue with that. So if you really want to support all of these use cases, and all of these use cases are important to you, Reed, then I'd say an iPad is probably the answer for you, or at least maybe the current e-ink devices aren't. So that would be my recommendation is if you truly want the web page copying and quote copying, probably go with the iPad. But if not, either the Remarkable or the Supernote, and to a certain extent, the Books device all support this. The Remarkable probably has the easiest workflow for sharing typed documents back and forth. So you can type directly into the Remarkable app and then see that instantly over on your Remarkable device. And you can double tap on a word and change it, and it'll be synced up to the cloud. So from an ease of use perspective, that's probably the easiest. Technically, the Supernote also supports it, but I think the logistics of getting your content back and forth are a little bit more difficult. So hopefully that helps. Good luck. All right, Juan said, have you been intrigued by the results of the Hisense e-ink phone? Juan, I haven't really looked at it. I've heard from like one other person that it exists, but it's not really promoted very highly here in the States. Have you had a chance to look at it, or what are you hearing about that device? I'd be curious. So let me know. All right, let's get to another question. All right, question number 2 from Amy. Amy asks, thanks for your videos, but I have a question about what you think is best for my use case. I primarily work at my desk and take handwritten notes constantly for my job that I'd like to have transcribed and placed into OneNote folders. Previously, I was using a Rocketbook, but the erasing is just too much. I just got the Remarkable and integrated into my work OneDrive, but it isn't great at integrating straight into OneNote, and integrating straight into OneNote isn't an option. I've seen some workarounds, such as emailing them to your OneNote account and setting up email rules. So my company is recommending just to take notes straight into OneNote on a Surface or iPad, but I'm reluctant as I know they aren't as good for note-taking. What are your thoughts? Great question. So yeah, I don't think there's really a super streamlined process there. You're gonna have to figure out some workflow where you're getting those in there. The thing that I found works best for me is I jot directly on the Remarkable, and then I export out the screenshots into meeting notes that I care about, but there's inherently a lag there. So if that lag is too much for you and your team, you may have to explore other options, because I don't think there's really a way to completely get rid of the lag, just because the integration isn't that great. With that said, I'd say Books is the closest to having a decent OneNote solution, because you can run the OneNote app itself. But as people earlier in the stream have mentioned, even that isn't perfect. So I think you're gonna have to adjust according to your company and their expectations. And yeah, ink might not be there yet for you. So hope it helps. Wish I had a better answer for you. Sorry. So Goodenacht mentioned that they have a Hisense A5 e-ink phone. I guess Guten Nacht, how would you compare it to what you've heard about the book's Palma? I mean, obviously, the Palma is not a phone, but I'm curious, as someone who has the high sense, how do those two compare? All right, let me get another question up here. All right, the next question comes from Perry. Perry says, "Hi, I'm Perry, and we haven't met before. Well, hopefully we'll meet someday, Perry. Says I came across your YouTube channel when I was researching e-ink tablets. The reason for my email is in your videos you mentioned the purpose and use of tablets. The purpose use of the tablet would dictate which one would be best for you. Naturally, when I was first looking at e-ink tablets, the Remarkable 2 came across my radar and looked like the best one. Yeah, they have a heavy marketing budget. However, after doing more research, it has become more confusing as I've found the books 10.3 Note Air 3C and the Supernote A6X2 Nomad. As a result, I'm seeking your opinion. I don't know if I'm an expert, but my opinion. The purpose use of the tablet would be to take handwritten notes, convert handwritten notes to text or directly to PDF, be able to mark up PDFs, draw sketch diagrams with the ability to take notes around it, record voice recordings, receive and provide documents into various types, and upload, receive, and share documents easily. I don't want an item that would be a smaller version of a laptop, as this tablet would be more for business and productivity. All right, I think you're in luck. So Perry, I think you fit into the sweet spot of what an e-ink tablet is. I think the only thing you said that gives me a little pause is the voice recording, because most of the devices don't support that. Technically, the books supports it, but if you're dead set on it being a business and productivity device and not a laptop alternative, I would steer you away from the books. With that said, it seems like future versions of the Supernote or the Remarkable can and probably should support voice dictation, but as of yet is not a thing, but I think is a nice area of growth and fits thematically with the goals of e-ink. With that said, I think either the Supernote or the Remarkable will work great. As far as getting documents on and off easily, I still think the Remarkable does that the best of everyone. And if you're just trying to have a zero headache device, that one is the zero headache device. Supernote's not far behind, but those would definitely be my two front runners for you. And it's ultimately going to come down to size. And so I don't think you can go wrong with either of those two devices. All right. Okay, we got some more answers from Guten Nacht. They said they got it from a German kind of eBay marketplace. And I'm not going to try and say that word. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on it relative to the Palma? I need to know. I'm curious. All right, let's get another question up. All right, so Fazan Saputra, I know I butchered that. I'm really sorry. Said, next video, I've gone through some of your videos, but couldn't find an answer to my question. Can I copy a graph from a PDF file and copy it into my personal note? As a student, this is a really important feature to have. I believe this is a remarkable question, and I'm actually not sure as to the answer. I know you can duplicate a page. I think you can do this. Hold on, let's try this. Let me grab a remarkable. Okay. What happened to the stream? You guys still there? Did we lose the stream? No, the stream's still here. Okay, let's extra camera. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm pulling this up. All right, so we've got a clean page. Okay, so we've got refactoring UI here. Let's go into thumbnails. We can duplicate the page. And then we can move. Oh, I hit send. We can hit move. So no, you can't take it out of the document. So I think you're going to be stuck here. Yeah, I don't think there's a workaround there. Yeah, so sorry, the answer to your question is no. You can't, on the Remarkable, copy something from a PDF document to a personal note. Or at least if you can, I don't know how to do it. So maybe someone on the stream knows, but I don't think you can. All right. So Gutenach says, I heard from many people that DHgate is a good app where you can purchase Hisense phones. I don't know. Never used it. Can't comment on that. And Gutenach says that they haven't tried the Palma either. But have you seen my video on the Palma? And how does it compare to what I say about the Palma? We're looking at a comment in an Obsidian tab. Yeah, that was intentionally. Sorry, that was intentional. I was answering that person's question. Oh, were you not able to see the Remarkable? Oh, sorry about that. All right, so what I was showing on the Remarkable is, can you move a page from a PDF into your notes? And so what I attempted to do was to duplicate the page to kind of unbind it from the PDF and then try and move it. And you can't move a page outside of the document. And so the answer is, as far as I know, no, you can't do what that person was trying to do. All right. Fairylight says, on the Nomad, they warn you that using notes that allow handwriting conversion can really affect battery life. Do you use this feature, and have you noticed it impacted your battery life? I have used it. It's not a significantly noticeable change. So it's not as drastic as black and white books device versus color books device. But there are some other quirks. So like if you're used to doing the 2-finger hold and erase, that functions a little bit different. Oh, hello. Thank you, Apple gestures. If you use that gesture a lot, then it changes the behavior of it when you're in the real-time recognition note. So that bothers me a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. And I don't think it's a deal breaker of any kind. All right, let's see. We've got a couple other questions from folks. All right, Quanley asks, does Notable write to a file that can be synced and viewed across devices? The answer to this is it can be exported, but as far as I know, there's not like a easy to move around document format. But there is a Discord for Notable, and that place is probably the better place to ask that question because Olap, the guy who writes it, would definitely know the answer. But I don't think so. That's my current belief. Is I don't think there's active support for that at the moment. All right, let's get some more questions. And it's 6:15, so I'm going to answer one more question, and then I got to get ready to go. And I'll answer one more question from the pre-selected. Sorry, I'll answer one more question from the questions that I already had, and then if one more question on the comments, then we'll go from there. All right. All right. Sean G asks, how fast do the Kaweco nibs wear out? I'm seeing them on Missing Pen at $10 for 2 of them, which is over double what Remarkable charges for theirs. Yeah, Kaweco nibs are pricey. And the answer to how fast do they wear out is going to depend heavily on how you write. So I have never replaced the Kaweco nib on my Kaweco, and I use it all the time. So it's really tough to answer this question just because how hard you press matters. The good news is the Kaweco nibs are pretty flexible, and so I find that they're not very brittle and they tend to last longer. With that said, if you're a heavy-handed writer, they're not going to last as long for you. They're definitely expensive. It's not the most cost-effective nib for certain, but I don't find myself having to change them ever. But I do have some in case I ever do, because I don't want the nib to break or to no longer be a satisfying experience and then be stuck without anything. All right, last question. Promise I'm going to watch your Palma video and write in the comments. Thank you. Can you screenshot the notes and paste into your notes on the Remarkable? No, you cannot. The books definitely can, and I want to say the Supernote also can, but no, not the Remarkable. Then last question, e-ink phones in 2024? Maybe. If Books does it, then I think you'll see it. I think if Books does it, you'll probably see someone else do it. But hopefully, I don't know. I don't have insider information on it. If I did, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. But I hope so. I would definitely try it out. All right. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Go join the Knowledge Workers Discord if you haven't already. Also, I have the weekly reset email newsletter that I'll link. It's on a video. Go to my website, brandonkboswell.com, and you can do that. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks. Appreciate it.